Well, hello guys. We have today a reading of Rav Tzvi Kushalevsky on the Torah. It's called Torah Tzvi. Let's take a look at it. One of his sayings. What is a good heart? So this is the book here. It's called Rav Tzvi Kushalevsky on the Torah, adapted by Rabbi Daniel Fine. And let's see, Parshas Bo. That's this week's Parsha of the week. So let's take a look at it. What is a good heart? HaChodesh hazeh lochem. It says in the Torah that this month should be for you. This month is for you. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach went to the healing waters of the Yumsis. He was drawn after the material luxuries there and forgot his Torah learning. He was later called to read the Torah, but instead of reading, quote, "This month is for you," HaChodesh hazeh lochem, in Hebrew, he read, "Deaf was his heart, HaCheresh Haya Libam." In other words, he changed a few letters which made the words completely different, which made the meaning completely different. Deaf was his heart. He wrote, instead of HaChodesh, he wrote HaCheresh, and instead of Hazeh, he wrote Haya, and Lochem he changed for Libam, by accident, of course. The rabbis prayed for him, and his learning returned. That's in the Gemara of Shabbos 147b. So given his high spiritual level, Rabbi Elazar ben Arach partook excessively of the physical luxuries of the Yumsis, hence his mistake when it came to reading the Torah. Now, despite the fact that the Hebrew letters of the actual pasuk are similar to the words he read by mistake, this was not an arbitrary mistake. If his mistake was that he read something about his heart being closed, this was a message he had to hear. Let us examine this episode closely. Rabbi Eliezer ben Arach's defining quality can be found in a Mishnah in Avos 2:3. That's the fathers, the ethics of the fathers, the second chapter, Mishnah 9. 2:9. There, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asks his students to identify the ideal path in life that a person should follow. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach answers, Lev Tov, a good heart. So he says a good heart is the ideal path to follow, which is Lev Tov in Hebrew. So we're talking about what is a good heart. Okay, there Rabbi Elazar ben Arach's defining quality can be found in a Mishnah in Avos. There, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asks his students to identify the ideal path in life that a person should follow. Rabbi Elazar ben Arach answered, Lev Tov, a good heart. After hearing his other students out, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai endorses Rabbi Elazar's answer and comments. All the other answers are included in yours. Yet this also requires pondering, since one of the other answers in the Mishnah does not at all seem to fit into the concept of Lev Tov, a good heart. It speaks of Haroa es hanolad, quote, one who sees the consequences of their actions. What then is a Lev Tov, and how does it include all the other qualities? The way to understand this riddle is to deepen our understanding of the concept of Tov. Tov is good. It is not simply kindness or giving to others. It's not simply kindness or giving to others. That's not the only expression of Tov. When Pharaoh's daughter saw baby Moses in the basket in the Nile, she sees that he is Tov, that he is good. Shemos 2:2. That's Exodus, the second chapter, the second verse. So in other words, she sees that he is good. So what does it mean by being good? This cannot mean that he was benevolent, that he was a giver even at that early stage in life. It can't mean that, because how would she be able to see that? Rather, Tov means possessing a spiritual quality. Tov means being a person of spirituality. That is what Pharaoh's daughter saw in Moshe. She saw that he was a person of spirituality. In light of our new definition of Tov, of good, the accolade Lev Tov must mean a spiritual core. A good heart must mean a spiritual core. The heart of a person, the quote, heart of a person who develops a refined spiritual outlook on the world. Thus explains the Maharal, Lev Tov can indeed include the virtue of seeing the consequences of one's actions, since a spiritual person has a special vantage point from which he sees things more clearly. So, okay, and let's see, the note over there is Or HaChaim citing Shemos Rabbah 120 and Avos 2.9. Here, there you go, Avos 2.9. That's the number 3, note number 3. Someone asked the Chazon Ish about his expertise in a vast array of worldly matters, despite apparently not having studied them. So how did he know about all of these things, even if he had not studied them? The Chazon Ish answered by means of a parable. At a wedding, those in the inner dancing circle are closest to the groom, but their vision of the hall is blocked by those around them. One who is standing away from the dancing in the corner can often see the entire room. The Chazon Ish meant that he had a clear spiritual vision because he was not caught up in the frenzy of activity. In other words, he can be on the side and still see what's going on, what's happening. He could thus remain an objective onlooker, assessing situations with a sound and calm mind. It is therefore no coincidence that Rabbi Eliezer ben Arach misread a pasuk as if it were speaking of a closed heart. His special virtue was a spiritual focus, a Lev Tov. Yet once he overindulged in the material pleasures of the Yumsis, of the city of the near the river of the Yumsis, he developed a clouded spiritual focus, a quote, closed heart. Yet even this mistake was revoked and his focus renewed through prayer and repentance. May we similarly develop a spiritual core and outlook. So this is what is a good heart. And that's Rav Tzvi Kushalevsky on the Torah. So Rav Tzvi Kushalevsky was in the yeshiva of Chadera. He was in the yeshiva of Chadera at the same time as Rabbi Harav Yaakov Galinsky, Zecher Tzaddik L'Bracha. The memory of a tzaddik, of a righteous person, should be a blessing. He was in the same yeshiva at that time. They had a lot of big, great Torah scholars at the time, and he, as a matter of fact, Rabbi Binyamin Afrati over here, the author of this book, he wrote a lot of books in Hebrew, Chazon HaGeula B'Mishnah Sarav Kook. He was there at the same time too, as a matter of fact, and this is another of his books, Rav Binyamin Afrati. So he wrote on all kinds of different subjects of the Torah. So anyway, we have here, this is Rav Tzvi Kushalevsky on the Torah. And here's Rav Yaakov Galinsky, and I think they should be coming out with his books and Sefer in English too soon. Okay, anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for watching. Take care.